Hey guys, how are you doing? We're back for another video today, and guys, it's time for the big video. We are finally here. We are doing the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series X, guys. And before we get into it, I want to say how this video will be broken up, and it'll be broken up into 5 different categories. Number 1 with the prices, number 2 with the outside appearance or the outside looks to it, number 3 with the actual specs of the console, so diving into them, seeing what they can do and how well they perform. Then going into number 4, we have the controllers, how well they fit in the hands, how well they go, like how well they work, you know what I'm saying? And then number 5, and of course I would say one of the biggest ones, the games and comparing them. And of course, guys, I wanted to do this review because both of these consoles are becoming a lot more available, and I think that when it was good at launch, and then the consoles were very hard to get, but now I've been seeing a lot of them pop up, and it's been pretty easy to get a Series X in your hands on a PS5 as well. So I think that this video now is just as important as it is when it first came out. And so guys, I don't want to keep you guys waiting, so let's just jump right into this. Let's head fucking first. Let's go, guys. Okay, guys, so of course, starting off, we have the big boy $500 version of the consoles, with the first one being the $500 PS5 with the disc drive, and then the next one being the $500 version of the Xbox Series X with the disc drive as well. So, of course, they are both $500, so that means right now we are on a completely even playing field, but of course, both of these big boys have little brothers, and starting out with the PS5 Digital Edition, it is $400, but it has the same specs and the same storage amount as the normal PS5. So you're basically just taking off $100 to remove a disc drive. But the Xbox Series S is $300. But the difference between the Series X and the Series S is less powerful and really sits nicely around 1080p games, while the Xbox Series X sits nicely around 4K games, and the Series S only has 512 gigabytes, while the Series X has roughly about a terabyte. So you're dropping $200 for a smaller console with no disc drive, and you're also losing out on some graphic power and also some gigabyte space, which gigabyte space with how big games are getting nowadays is kind of a big thing, and if you are willing to take that $200 off for that, then go for it. Moving into our slot number 2, guys, and that is the appearance of the consoles. And now we hit a drastically different turn. The PS5 and the Series X could not look any more different. The PlayStation 5 looks like a fucking spaceship, while the Series X looks like an actual mini fridge, and they did make a mini fridge off it as well. Just to get that little bit more money, guys. Just to get that tiny bit more money. The PlayStation obviously is a lot taller than the Series X, with it having the white face plates, but it is skinnier than the Series X. And also, coming up now, the face plates on the PlayStation 5 are interchangeable with other colors, so you can make your PlayStation 5 look different, and it doesn't have to be just white. It can be black, it can be blue, it can be pink. I think that the colors for the 5 are very cool, and I think that it adds a lot of personality to your 5. Moving on to the Series X, it's obviously shorter, but it's a little bit more boxy, and it is of course just black, and there really is no way to customize it without putting like stickers on it or something else like that on it. And personally, I would not do that to this console. I think it looks perfectly fine just the way it is, but you could do that if you wanted to. So on the vertical plane, I think that the PlayStation 5 does beat out the Series X appearance-wise. But of course, you will not always be able to have your console standing up straight, and especially with how tall the PlayStation 5 is, it won't be feasible just to have it standing up all the time. So sometimes if you have like a TV stand, you might have to put it vertically. And that's where this conversation changes a lot. I think that the PS5 takes a drastic downfall when it comes to standing up horizontally. I am not the biggest fan of it, but I think that the Xbox Series X looks just the same. I think it's fine horizontally. I think that it looks perfectly fine. I think that appearance-wise is where the Series X does beat out the PlayStation 5, and that is only horizontally. And I also do think that the Xbox Series X does kind of blend in a little better on just basic terms without changing the faceplates of the PS5. I think that it looks better fitting into more of a home setting. I think that the PlayStation 5 is a very like eye-grabbing piece. And if that's what you're going for, then great. It fits that role perfectly, but the Xbox Series X just kind of fits in with that homey, more like chill role more. Also, another thing is the stand for the PS5. Something that I almost forgot to mention, but the stand for the PS5 is very cheap. It does not feel well made at all, and I feel like it was just kind of an afterthought, like a throwaway thing, like, oh yeah, if you guys do want to stick this thing sideways, don't you? And so they've kind of just threw it on there, and I just don't think it works well with the PS5 sideways at all. I think vertically it works fine, just horizontally it just does not work. Moving into our big number 3 spot, and that is the specs for the console. And honestly, everything is the same for the consoles up until we get to the GPU. And for normal people like me who don't know what a GPU is, I'm going to save you guys the process of Googling it by just giving you a crash course in it right now. And a GPU is a graphics processing unit that basically takes the images that the console is putting out by the games and putting them on TV and making them look all nice and pretty. Boom, look at that. You see how easy that was? But the PS5 has 10.3 teraflops, while the Xbox has 12 teraflops. I know, weird words, I don't know. But that does mean that the Xbox does beat out the PlayStation in GPU-wise. So basically, the Xbox can put up prettier pictures than the PS5 can. That doesn't mean that it always will, because they actually those games have to use those teraflops, which a lot of the games that the Xbox Series X has right now do not. But for future reference, they could, and games could look prettier. I'm very excited to see them push the potential of how pretty and how good games can look. Now, our next big notable difference for the consoles is the storage aspect of it. The PlayStation 5 has a storage unit of 825 gigabytes, with only the usable storage being 667 gigabytes, which really is not a lot considering how big games are getting nowadays, with Call of Duty being almost 150 gigabytes. Games are getting insanely big, and 667 just really is not that big, and I just don't think it cuts it. And right now, we really don't have a feasible storage expansion unit for the PS5. Hopefully they make one in the future, but that does segue on to our Xbox Series X, which again does beat out the PlayStation 5 by having a terabyte, but only having usable storage of 802 gigabytes, which, trust me, it is a lot, considering that if you're sitting there trying to download a game and you don't have to go through and like delete like 2 or 3 games just to download maybe another 1 or 2 games, those 200 extra gigabytes will come in handy. And also another thing that the Xbox has that the PlayStation doesn't is very easy expandable storage. It's just a little slot that sticks into the back of the Series X and could add on another 500 gigabytes, another terabyte, or another 2 terabytes. With that being said though, the expandable storage is definitely not cheap. It is almost $220 for another terabyte, which is fucking insane. So unless you have the cost of a previous gen console sitting around to add another terabyte, you'll just be sitting at that casual 1 terabyte or 802 gigabytes, which gets the job done, honestly, guys. Moving into our 4th slot, and that is the actual controllers for the consoles. And guys, this is where the magic sort of happens for these consoles. This is what kind of gets you engaged with the rumbling. And for the PS5 case, we'll get into that for a little bit. It has some additional features that I like a lot. And of course, coming into these next gen consoles, we're looking for some good ass top tier controllers. And trust me, both of these consoles deliver, and these controllers feel nice as fuck, and they are both super awesome and very good controllers. And honestly, I know that I said they are both very good controllers, but I do feel like one kind of does blow the other one out of the water, and that is the PS5 controller. I feel like this thing stands on top as the best controller in the market right now, with having haptic feedback and having the adaptive triggers and just how well it like fits in your hand. I think that it is very nice, very sleek. I think the controller looks really nice, and I think the additional colors that are now coming out for it look good as well. Oh, and another thing, how can I even forget? The PlayStation 5 also has a built-in microphone straight into the controller itself. So if you guys need a microphone, guess what? It's already there. I mean, it's obviously not like the best microphone in the world, but it gets the job done, and it's better than Xbox's controller having nothing at all. And guys, I want to go into the adaptive triggers a little bit more, because the adaptive triggers are basically just making them have resistance. So the best way I can describe it is when you're drawing a bow back, it'll like put resistance on the actual trigger and make it a little harder to pull the bow back when you're pulling the trigger back. And when you fire it off, it makes like a thump. And I think it is very cool, and adds some very nice immersion onto controllers themselves. But the Xbox controllers are nice as well, and I think that they are very sleek. They fit in your hands very well as also. I mean, they do have some minor differences coming from the Xbox One, but not a lot, because if, like I've already said, guys, if it is not broke, don't fix it. I do think that the Xbox kind of does shoot down the PlayStation controllers when it comes to different colors and different variations in controller. I've seen some of them, and I think that some of them look fucking awesome and sick, but it's just the PS5 that the features that the controller has that does shoot down the Xbox controller for me. And moving on to our number 5 spot, which is the games. And I feel like this is one of the biggest things for a console. I think that it's what makes or breaks a console when it comes to a list. In my personal opinion, I think it is one of the big things that made the PS4 stand out so much against the Xbox One. So I'm just going to go through a list of major games that both console has, and we will just compare them and see how they stack up against each other. So starting on our list, I'm going to go through the PS5 exclusives, and we have games like Demon Souls, we have Returnal, we have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, we have other games like Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, and then we also have some remakes of PS4 games that were made to look nicer and fit better on the PS5 engine. Now, moving over to the Xbox side, I feel like Xbox really only has 3 big games right now, and those are Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5, and then Psychonauts 2, which currently is really not a lot. But then, of course, these consoles are just only a year old. We have a lot of future to look forward to in these consoles' life. And I think that is where both of these consoles look absolutely insane. They both look very promising, and starting out, we'll do PlayStation 5 again. And PlayStation 5 has God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, it has the Wolverine game, it has Horizon Forbidden West, Final Fantasy VII Part 2 and Part 3 of the remake, and of course, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. I mean, PlayStation has some very big hitters in the future in the upcoming years, but then again, Xbox does as well, and I think that this is a perfect time as well to hop in to what Xbox has. And to say Xbox has some heavy hitters would be a massive understatement. So if you guys have been living under a rock and you didn't hear, Xbox or Microsoft bought out Bethesda, which is a fucking massive thing. So that gives them the ability to have a Series X exclusive of Elder Scrolls 6, and then also have any of the new Fallout games come straight to Xbox exclusive, which is just fucking insane. Because Skyrim is such an insanely big game, and if Elder Scrolls 6 is anywhere near as good as that game is, to have that as an Xbox exclusive is a massive thing. They also have other games like Stalker, Fable 4, and then State of Decay 3. Also, another thing I'm going to touch on very quickly and very briefly is Xbox has a thing called Game Pass, which basically gives you a bunch of games for only paying like $14.99 per month. It gives you Xbox Gold, and it also gives you access to all of these games. And these games are super good games. I mean, you can get games like Doom and Doom Eternal. You can get games like Halo Infinite right out the gate. And you can also get one of my personal favorite games, Skate 3. You can also get Fallout, of course, and of course, if you have not been seeing the Twitch channel, you can also get Hades as well, which is where I got Hades from. And right now, PlayStation has PlayStation Now, which is sort of like Xbox Game Pass, but the games really aren't that good on it. And I've been hearing some talks and some rumors that PlayStation is in the works to make something to combat Xbox Game Pass. So I'm very excited to see what they come out with and what games they're going to have for it. So guys, this right here is the moment of truth. And this is the big moment where we crown the best next-gen console, guys. And to build some hype up, the best next-gen console that I think you guys should buy is the Oculus Quest. No, okay, I'm kidding. Of course, I'm kidding, guys, I'm kidding. But actually, on a serious note, guys, I think that you guys should buy the PlayStation 5. And it is not my PlayStation fan bias coming in at all. It's not that. I am just a bigger fan of what the PlayStation 5 has to offer with the controller and with some of the games coming out in the future. I think that Spider-Man 2 is going to be insane. I think that Wolverine's going to be crazy. And of course, the new Star Wars game is going to be absolutely wild. Not to downplay Xbox at all, because I obviously have both, so I'm not picking a bias here. But I think that both consoles are very good. And if you don't want to take my opinion, that is perfectly fine, guys. Go buy the Xbox. It is a perfectly good console, and I love it just as much. I've been having so much fun with it as well. I think that the true answer is to get whatever console has your favorite games out on it, or games coming out in the future, and for me, that is just the PlayStation 5. So please, guys, don't hate me. It is just an opinion. But guys, don't shoot me down. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please go down there and leave a like. This video took a lot of time to plan out, do some fun stuff with it. So please, guys, leave a like, and of course, comment. What console do you guys have? Do you plan on getting? And do you agree with anything I said here at all, honestly, guys? Do you agree with it at all? Just let me know down below. And of course, guys, hit subscribe, turn that red button to gray to not miss a single video that we have coming. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, guys, and you don't want to miss it because we have some very, very, very fun videos planned in the future similar to this. So please just go down and click it, guys. I hope all of you have a fan-fucking-tastic day, guys, and deuces.